Monosnap has been down for 4 days now. Let's take a look at what's going on. First of all, what is Monosnap? Monosnap is a screenshotting tool. It's a Mac app available on the Mac App Store, and it allows you to take screenshots of your screen. You can annotate them and you can share them. Popular among all types of people, but especially designers and developers trying to share screenshots. Similar to a tool that was very popular years ago called Sketch, which is now gone, and Monosnap has replaced that tool in the toolbox of a lot of people. Now, Monosnap has been down since September 22nd, and I know this because people have been reporting outages to StatusGator for many days now. You can see here's the outage map of reports over the last 24 hours. Today is Friday, September 26th. I can see most of the outages are reported in kind of the Eastern Europe area. I think the product was originally built and maintained there, and it does have a large customer base in Eastern Europe. Lithuania seems to be maybe where they're headquartered. And unfortunately, it's not only down in that area, though, it's down globally. And we've seen outage reports starting back on September 22nd to StatusGator. StatusGator, of course, is the app where you can see the status of over 6,000 different services. You can have a single page to see the status of all the apps that you and your team depend on. So if your team depends on Monosnap, you can get outage alerts from StatusGator and from over 6,000 other apps straight on StatusGator. You can also come to StatusGator.com anytime you need to check or report an outage. So you can see here on my dashboard, I've got over 300 outage reports in the last several days from all over the world. I do see a lot here in Eastern Europe. People saying site will not load. We cannot access our cloud files in Monosnap. So the way Monosnap works is it runs locally on your computer, but it records this screenshot and saves it into the cloud, available on a URL that anyone can access. So monosnap.com is the URL, and people have been reporting for several days now. They're still unable to access the links. Site cannot be reached, DNS probe issue. It does appear to be with their entire domain, monosnap.com. So I've done some investigation here, and I'll reveal what I found throughout this video. So first of all, when I try to go to monosnap.com, when I try to view any image that's been shared from Monosnap, this is what I see. I see a DNS error. And of course, if there is no DNS set up for this domain, any of the images that you've shared in the past, any links that you have out there in the wild are not going to work. And I've seen people on Twitter reporting this problem as well. None of the images that you share on Monosnap are working. Now, what I found when I signed up for Monosnap is they do seem to be still using this domain. So I signed up for a Monosnap account just now, and the email was sent from monosnap.com. But my estimation, they seem to have lost control of this domain because nothing returns on this domain, and anything out there now on the new app seems to point to monosnap.ai. In fact, just yesterday, Friday, September 25th, they released an app on the iOS App Store, the macOS App Store rather. Version 6.3.4 Monosnap says that they moved to a new app domain, monosnap.ai. And in fact, that's the domain where I was able to find their website. So it almost looks like they moved their service from one domain to another without telling anyone and broke all the existing links in the process. Anything out there that was using monosnap.com no longer works. You now have to use monosnap.ai. Monosnap.ai is where all of the images are now hosted. Still, a lot of questions remain. What happened here? Did they lose control of their domain accidentally? Did they let it expire? Did they intentionally move to .ai as a way to capitalize on this AI movement and the fervor surrounding AI these days? Who knows? But nothing on monosnap.com works anymore. I did do a little bit of investigation into the domain. I can see some changes to the record, monosnap.com. here on September 22nd. If I go back to August 21st, I can see this was hosted on Cloudflare. That was their DNS provider. And then on September 22nd, their DNS provider was no longer Cloudflare, but was GoDaddy. What happened on September 22nd remains a mystery, but it appears that they moved their DNS from Cloudflare to GoDaddy. Could it be that Cloudflare kicked them off? A distinct possibility. Cloudflare is known to be free and very generously so. But however, if you are using Cloudflare as a CDN or to serve images as perhaps the main feature of your product, and it certainly is a large feature of Monosnap, then it's a distinct possibility that you might not be able to use Cloudflare for free. This is purely speculation, but perhaps they got kicked off Cloudflare on September 22nd, did not have a backup plan in place, and were scurrying to find another way to serve their images, and they switched to Monosnap.ai. Monosnap.ai seems to be registered very recently, the 3rd of September 2025. What I can tell here, it looks like Monosnap.ai is hosted on Cloudflare still, so maybe they are still allowed to use Cloudflare. Who knows? But for some reason, something happened on September 22nd for them to move their domain from Cloudflare to GoDaddy. Did it expire? I don't think so. It looks like it is registered through 2027, so it doesn't seem to be related to that. Why they deleted their monosnap.com domain still remains a mystery. We do have the StatusGator unofficial Monosnap status page, and we have updated that with what we found. So monosnapstatus.com. This is a status page that we publish unofficially. You can come here and report outages or subscribe to updates, and we do update this page when we see there are outages. And of course, you can always go to StatusGator.com and search for Monosnap. You can find StatusGator's public landing page here. The service is, of course, down right now on monosnap.com, but up on monosnap.ai. Monosnap status here on StatusGator is showing that it is up simply because we have not received a lot of reports in the last hour or so. Has there been any official word from the company? No, they do not have an official status page. We only have found this gentleman seems to be the creator of Monosnap. It looks to be a pretty lean operation, but Kirill Simakov seems to be the creator based on my research. And I did find a post from somebody with that name on Twitter, ex-Twitter, who seems to call himself the founder and CEO at Monosnap. The only quasi-official response I've seen is this one right here, responding to this poster on Twitter. Is Monosnap down? I cannot visit the website. Does this mean the service has shut down? There was a deleted post in between. What that response is remains a mystery. But Kirill here did reply, outage, work in progress, no worries. All data is safe and will be available soon. Now that was 3 days ago. Unfortunately, it's still not available on monosnap.com. It seems to be that monosnap.ai is where you can get access to all your existing images, but you would need to know about this new domain, and they have not really officially communicated that anywhere that we can tell. However, I did update some monosnap.com URLs that I've been using, and they did properly work when switched over to the new domain. So my suggestion for anyone who is still having problems with Monosnap is to, first of all, visit StatusGator to check for the ongoing outages. Visit the Monosnap unofficial status page that's maintained by StatusGator at monosnapstatus.com, and update any links you have out in the wild from monosnap.com to monosnap.ai, and you'll be back up and running. We'll continue to monitor the situation, and as always, do check out StatusGator if you want to monitor any of the apps that you depend on.